Many questions were subject of my interest. As a result of this work arose in which I tried to give an answer to all these asked questions, but primarily to question on how insurance work in tourism and Serbia. And are there any different solutions and possibility of improving those solutions? And now we can start. The title of this article is Insurance in Tourism. In modern conditions, insurance has the great economic and social importance. Without it, we could not neither imagine business of economic subjects nor work in life of the citizens. Therefore, to this activity in every country is dedicated extreme attention. Modern insurance is created as the need for association in order to have mutual bearing unforeseeable consequences from uncertain risks. Economic activities in modern conditions are often exposed to the risk that cannot be prevented, not removed, and that can lead to economic disaster of economic subjects without regard to the guilt. In order to protect themselves from such situation, businessmen join certain financial assets to that insurance work permeates all the pores of modern economic life. Such significance of the insurance has for its consequence more often intervention of state in this area. The state prescribes the conditions that have to be met by the insurance companies and organize the surveillance over their business. Reform of Serbian financial system reflect on all the sectors contained by the system as well as to the insurance sector. Reform of insurance market started at the end of 2004 with the adoption of law on insurance and other suitable sub-legal acts. It was created the legislative framework for business of insurance company based on international practice. The solution in the law are prepared with regard to the solution in the laws of developed European countries with respect to certain requests defined in EU directives in insurance area. Through law on insurance and solutions of the question of control over establishment and business of insurance company, we have answered to the request of the process of adjusting our legislative in the area of insurance with the rules and regulation that adopt comparative legislation with the respect of EU legislative. Regulatory resources of insurance in tourism, the second title. In the other economic activities, also in performing tourist activity, insurance has an important part. Imperative legislative valid law in tourism obliges tourist organization that in certain cases sign the contract on insurance. The businesses of organizing tourist travels are performed by tourist agencies according to the obtained license, so-called acts on fulfillment of the conditions. According to the previous law, license of the category A is issued for performing activities of organizing tourist travel in the country and abroad, and the license of category B for performing activities of organizing tourist travels in country. The license is issued within 13 days since the day of submitting to request with the validity of 5 years. Organizer, please, next slide. Next page. The license is issued to the tourist agency that has the policy of insurance for every tourist travel, or the policy of insurance in the least amount of 3,000 euros if it organizes travels in the country and abroad, or in the least amount of 5,000 euros if it organized travels in the country, that are placed on special current account in Serbian dinars or foreign currency. Insurance policy, bank guarantee, and provided funds are used for reimbursement of the difference between contracted price of the travel and price of the travel decreased according to the non-performance or partial performance of the services defined by travel program and cost of return of the passengers in the case of bankruptcy or temporary liquidity of the organizer of travel to the passenger. Insurance policy provided funds and bank guarantee the organizer of travel must have covered for all time period of license validity. In January 2020, the new regulation based on the law in tourism came into force. This pertained to the conduct of the tourism registry, the requirements for and the manner of tour operators ranking, the type and conditions of travel guarantee, as well as to the deposited funds depending on the license category. The license request is to be submitted by a business enterprise or an entrepreneur and should contain the contract guaranteeing the travel insurance policy of bank guarantee, with insurance cover ranging from 200,000 for a 20 license category, assigned to operators who organize programs for maximum 1,000 clients, to a 400,000 for a 14 license holders who organize tours for more than 10,001 customers. The deposit placed on Serbian dinars RSD account of a tour operator ranges from E to 2,500 to E 10,000, depending on the license category. The information pertaining to the insurance cover and the deposit for any tourist agency is publicly available to anyone who accesses to website on business register agency on tourism register. Around 16% of licensed tourist agencies have the central office in Belgrade and work in Belgrade. Belgrade is the main city in Serbia. According to the law on tourism, one of the conditions for getting the license for tourist agencies for performing tourist activities is ensuring of tourist arrangements, except for a guarantee input of guarantees from the banks. Due to the fact that in our country there is no obligatory insurance of the passengers during purchase of tourist arrangements, the law on tourism introduces insurance policy as the prerequisite for gaining license for each tourist travel. Beyond, the law defines more precisely what is insurance policy, which is the agreement that the agencies close with insurance company and what it should consist. It precise the level of insured amount, insured case, the obligation of insurance companies in insured case, like in the case of damage due to the liquidation or bankruptcy of tourist agency. Having in mind the significance of insurance in tourist activities, in modern conditions, various agreements are closed down regarding volunteer insurance, especially from responsibility for damages that would otherwise have to be reimbursed by tourist agencies. We have connect. Tourists themselves are beyond that insured from increased dangers that threaten them as eventual risks during the travel outside of their place of residence. In such a manner, tourists and providers of services can be insured from every risk and therefore remove it or decrease it. Tourists during travel and residing in tourist places are exposed to the increased dangers and risks. The causes of dangers are above all means of transportation, then intensified physical activities in new climate and natural surrounding, which obviously more endangers life and body integrity of passengers compared to his residence in the place of staying. Due to the mentioned and other circumstances, contracts on insurance have important role in performing tourist activity, no matter if the tourist with insurance company closes them alone or with agency of tourist organization. Please, the next page. Organizer. Obligatory insurance. Obligatory insurance of passenger from the effects of accident. In our legislative is accepted principle of voluntarity in personal and property insurance. Obligatory insurance can appear only like expressions from the principles of voluntarity, and that's so in the case defined by the law. We think that such formulation is not good because it prevents the possibility that the regulatory bodies in other laws that define certain specific matter enter obligatory insurance, if there is the need for it, because that it will collide with this law. It is not true that only the law on insurance regulate questions on obligatory insurance, because there are cases of obligatory insurance in other laws. Personal and property insurance is generally voluntary. Exceptionally, property and personal insurance is obligatory in cases defined by the law. That is obligatory are insured passengers in public transportation from the consequences of accident. Then obligatory are insured owners or beneficiaries or motor vehicles from liability for the damages caused to third persons, and also owners of airplanes from liability for the damages to third parties. Passengers in that sense are persons that are present in motor vehicle determined for performing public transportation for the purpose of traveling, no matter they bought traveling tickets, and also persons that are present on station, port, airport, or nearby vehicle before embarking. That is after descending, person that had the intention to travel by certain means of transportation or travel by it, except for the person that work on this means of transportation. Passengers are also persons that have the right for a free ride. Therefore, passenger is the person that during travel by the means of transportation stopped, temporarily left the vehicle. Passenger is also the person that tracks good railroad transportation. Owners on beneficiaries of means of transportations that are used by passenger transportation in public transportation are obliged to sign the contract on passengers insurance from the consequence of accident. Second title is obligatory insurance of passenger according to the international conventions. The international conventions accentuate the request for obligatory insurance and other financial security for the responsibility of navigation transporter. Please, next page. Next page. This idea is present also in International Convention on Civil Liability for all pollution damage and in International Convention on Establishment of International Fund for Reimbursement of the Damage Caused by All Pollution. The same tendency is present and also in International Convention on Liability and Compensation for Damage in connection with the carriage of hazardous and noxious substance by sea, as well as in the International Convention on Civil Liability from bunker oil pollution damage from 2001. The first reason for introduction of obligatory insurance is protection of SUAR. Today, most of navigation companies owns only one ship, which in practice led to the fact that the owner that has only one ship can become insolvent more easily, leaving the person that sues without compensation. Obligatory insurance on one hand, strengthens financial position of navigation company, and on the other side, protect potential suers, especially in the case of more significant sues, because enables them secure and foster compensation in the case when the transporter is the owner of only one ship. It is believed also that obligatory insurance contributes to the higher standard of boats because it is regularly requested by the insurance. That means if the insurance obligatory, it affects the application of higher standards at all ships. In such circumstances, it was not hard to achieve political accordance from the state for introduction of obligatory insurance or another financial security for them due death and injuries of passenger, which was supported by navigation industry. You have some example in the paper. European Union conducts measures of coherence of state countries in the area of insurance for the damage from motor vehicles through its directives. 4 directives from EU brought in the area of obligatory insurance in transportation circle European regulation in this area of insurance. The first directive was brought on 1972, the second on December 1983, and third from 1919, and the fourth for 2000, brought to the creation of European legislative on the contract on obligatory insurance. Beyond many decisions and proposition of the Commission, especially related to the functioning of international insurance car system, enable performing obligatory insurance in the best interest of the victims from traffic accidents. The next page, please. Organizer. Next page. Okay. With the first and second directive that are related to the insurance area for civil liability for damages caused from usage of motor vehicles are not removed some significant differences in national legislative that still impact over non-expectable different insurance protection of the persons that suffer damage in traffic accident in the area of member countries. Due to the different volume and amount of compensation in some countries' members, third directives adds to previous two directives regarding obligatory content of insurance from civil liability. The aim that should be met in such manner is that all persons that suffered the damage in transportation could have similar compensation in proper timeline, either from insurance company, either from special organization that is financed from funds of insurance companies. The third directives request from countries members that in their national legislative predict that the insurance obligatory covers all persons that are passengers, that the obligation of organization that provide compensation from uninsured and unknown vehicles cannot be subsidiary, and also that insurance covers the total area of the community according to the unique premium. Third directive requests taking the measures from countries member in order to provide quick access to the data on insurer where it was signed the insurance from the liability in case of motor vehicle that participated in traffic accident for the person that suffered the damage. From countries members, it also requested that on foreign liabilities apply to the law of member state where the accident happened or the legislative of the state where the vehicle was situated in, if that is more favorable for the damaged. The first directives orders to the state members to apply all measures in the order for civil liability for damages from usage of motor vehicles that are located on their territory to be covered by insurance. The request from the first directive that countries members perform measures in order to define which damages are covered by insurance and the type of insurance was unsuccessful regarding accordance of the insurance regulation. Important difference in content of insurance, which was obligatory in all countries members, were not removed through cohesion between national legislative of countries members with second directive. Defense existed, especially regarding the circle of persons that have the right on reimbursement from insurance. Protection of property of the victims in car accident was different from one country to another. This difference exists especially regarding protection of passenger in the vehicle that participated in traffic accident. In some countries, national legislative on liability insurance are excluded from the circle of third parties, those persons that have the right to reimburse insurance directly from insurer of a responsible person, passengers in the vehicle, where this exclusion was related to all the passenger or just to the insured person and their relatives. The necessity from that on a unique market of insurance, the position of victims becomes the same, no matter the damages suffered in or outside vehicle, led to the addition of second directive regarding obligatory expansion of the cycle of third parties on the passengers in the vehicle except from the drivers. With their national legislative, countries cannot exclude from the coverage the owner of the vehicle, insurance contractor, co-owner if they suffer damage or as passenger in the vehicle under condition that in the moment of accident they did not conduct the motor vehicle. Please, next page. Also, in another countries of Eastern and Central Europe was expanded the circle of third parties under the influence of this directive. For example, in the law of Czech Republic are compensated damages to all the passenger except to the driver of the vehicle that caused the accident. But if the spouse of the insurance suffer damage or persons that live with him her in mutual household, reimbursement for the damage from insurance is related only to damage due to body injury and not to the damage caused to the object and intermediary financial losses as their consequence. The next part, next title, is obligatory insurance of passengers in national legislative. Law on insurance of property and persons accepts expansion of third-party notion also to the passengers in the vehicle, but unlike third directive, third parties are not except for the driver, also the owners of the vehicles. Although third directive expanded the notion of third party to all the passengers and also the owners, or law excluded owners under the influence of rooted opinion that the owner is by the rule responsible for the damage from the vehicle and that in one person cannot be gathered responsible and damage the third party. But directive has in mind the fact that the owner should not be responsible, which is the case when with his vehicle the damage was caused by the driver to whom conducting the vehicle was trusted. Coordination between national legislative according to the rules defined in third directive contributed to better protection of victims in traffic accident and to the great extent made easier transfer of internal boundaries of community and therefore establishment and functioning of unique market. Voluntary insurance in tourism is part when I wrote about this type insurance in Serbian tourism. In performing tourist activity, insurance has an important place primarily because imperative legal norms oblige tourist organization in which cases they sign contracts on insurance. Expanding the conscious on utility of insurance in tourists as well as other types of economy activity led to emergence and signing different contracts on voluntary insurance, especially from liability for damages that would otherwise have to be paid by tourist organization. Except for that tourists insure themselves from increased dangers that threaten them during travel outside of their place of residents. Signing adequate contracts on insurance, both tourists and providers of services can be protected to the great extent from every risk and therefore remove or decrease bad consequences if the insured case occurs. One of the basic principles in our insurance is voluntarism. Looking through some contracts on performing tourist activities are marked obligation of tourists, catering agencies and other organizations to compensate financial and non-financial damage that cannot be excluded otherwise. Therefore, tourists and other organizations sign with insurers contracts on insurance from liability for damage. The most present one is the contract on insurance of gas in the hotel from the causes of accident. Contractor can be every hotel company or person that provides services of housing to the tourists. Contract on insurance of the guests is signed according to the list of guests, and insurance starts from the moment when the guest is entered into prescribed list until the moment he loses the status of guest. Insurer has the obligation that during insurance period, no matter the guest was in or outside the hotel. In hotel gas insurance is including insurance from liability of the hotel towards insured guests due to body injuries and damage, as well as due to the guest things missing. Except for contract on insurance of guests from consequences of accidents, also are signed contracts and additional insurance of the members of hunters and the fishermen organization from the effects of accident. That contracts on additional insurance of the guests of public boats from consequence of accidents. During organized travel, excursion, or summer holiday is a signed contract on insurance of tourists and excursions from the consequences of accidents through organization that is contractor of insurance. Among present additional insurance in tourism, we would select additional insurance of persons during summer holiday, winter holiday, camping from the consequences due to accident that training is skiing and swimming from the consequences due to the accident. Contract on insurance is the job in industry law, so that insurance contractors are economic subjects. Today, in everyday practice, is more present signing contract on insurance from tourist individual in order to prepare tourist travel better. In practice, most often are present the following forms of tourist insurance. Insurance from accidental travel, from liabilities due to damages that tourist causes on the travel, insurance from damages suffered from car, plane, ferry, etc. Insurance for the case of illness during travel, for reimbursement of costs in tourist does not start or stop travel organized by the agency. Insurance from the cost of regular repairs and services of his means of transportation during travel, etc., etc. Passengers, except for individual, can be offered also package of insurance that covers several types of above mentioned insurance. Therefore, tourist organization in organizing travels is obliged to inform passenger on the possibility to provide policy of health insurance during residing abroad, insurance of luggage, insurance from the effects of accident, and insurance from cancelling the travel and for travels in Serbia. It is recommended to the passenger to provide policies for a mentioned package of travel insurance. Package of travel insurance or some kind of insurance are present on website of UTA in Serbia. In a written from is given to the passenger disposal, and they are integral part of offer with the program of travel from organizer. If the program of travel does not offer another package or kind of travel insurance. Signing the contract, passengers conforms that was offered the package of travel insurance. And unless is contracted differently. Contract on insurance produces legal effect starting 24 hours from the day quoted in the policy as the day of insurance initiation. If the contract on insurance defines time period of the insurance, relation of insurance stops with the expiration of the last day of the period for which the insurance is contracted. If time period of insurance is not defined with the contract, each party can break it with the day of validity of premium with the obligation of written information to other part at least a month before the premium is valid. Contract on insurance stops if the insured items was damaged or item with which usage is contracted liability insurance. And in the end, conclusion. Insurance occurred as the need associated in order to have mutual bearing and foreseeable consequences from uncertain risks. Economic activities, therefore, also tourists in modern conditions are often exposed to risks that cannot be prevented nor removed, and that can lead to economic disaster of entrepreneur, no matter of his guilt. Imperative legal norms oblige tourist organization on cases in which sign contracts on insurance. Tourists during travel and staying in tourist place are exposed to increased dangers and risks. Causes of dangers are, above all, means of transportation, and then increased physical activities in your climate and natural environment, which obviously more endangers life and body integrity of tourists comparing to his staying in the place of residence. Due to significance of insurance in tourist activities in modern conditions, there is signing also various contracts on voluntary insurance, especially from liability for damages that would otherwise have to be compensated by tourist organization. Tourists are insured themselves from increased dangers that threaten them as possible risk during travel. Voluntary are signed the following contracts. Insures for gas in the hotel from the effects of accidents, additional insurance of the members of hunting fishermen organization from the effects of accidents, additional insurance for the gas in public baths from the effects of accidents, insurance of tourists and excursies from the effects of accident, and via organization that is contractor of insurance, additional insurance of individuals during summer holiday, winter holiday, camping from the effects of the accidents, additional insurance of the participants in skiing and swimming trainings from the accident, etc. Contracts on insurance have important role in performing tourist activity, no matter the tourist sign them with the insurance company alone or via tourist organization, because with their signing both tourists and services providers can be insured from every risk and therefore remove it or diminish it. It's all for me. You hear me? Should I repeat, contractor?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, Now you finish. I can explain the main part of topic in Russian and to refresh what you already tell according to your presentation. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Only I want to say something. You can ask a question by email. This information for students. And I allow organizer for school to give my presentation to all participants.
Okay, that's right. I will give your presentation. Участники, получается, тема сегодняшнего семинара была страхование в туризме. Как вы знаете, были затронуты очень важные вопросы и темы. Ключевой вопрос – это приведение страхового законодательства Сербии в соответствии с общеевропейским страхованием. И от этого начинается и актуальность сегодняшней темы, сегодняшнего топика, так как страхование охватывает все сферы туризма, и в условиях пандемии ковид страхование от рисков, которые появляются при путешествии, возникают. В туристической отрасли страхование делится в укрепленном виде на добровольное страхование и обязательное страхование. К обязательному страхованию относится имущественное страхование, страхование от рисков в случае аварий. К добровольным страхованиям относится страхование при кемпинге, при рыбалке, страхование от утечки газов в отеле или в ресторане. Ключевые вопросы, ключевые проблемы страхования были затронуты проблемы имущественного страхования, как, например, в случае с страхованием автобуса или страхованием автомобиля. Кто несет страховую ответственность? Водитель автомобиля, автобуса, либо компании, которой принадлежит. Кому положено страховое возмещение в случае аварии? Многие полагают, что страховое возмещение положено также и водителю автобуса и в других случаях. Вот, получается, вкратце основные моменты сегодняшнего семинара. Сейчас вы можете задать вопросы профессору. So, now you can ask a question to Professor Mirjana Knežević.
Спасибо всем. Спасибо всем.
Okay.
You understand me? I'm waiting.
Пожалуйста, можете задавать вопросы как через микрофон, так и писать в чате. Dear participants, can you hear me? I don't see any questions from you. Somebody have questions related with this seminar, this topic, this seminar. Thank you.
You can ask a question by email after this class.
Вы можете также задать вопросы лично по имейлу, написав на имейл профессора, если у вас созреют вопросы после семинара.
And you can give my presentation to all the participants.
Okay, obviously I will share with your presentations with all participants.
Participants, yes.
When after the reading presentation, maybe they will be ready to ask some questions, but they will ask questions through the email.
It's okay. We have deal. Now we have deal.
So, Mrs. Knežević, I don't. Mrs. Knežević, I don't see questions now. Probably they will be ready to ask questions later after participants receive your presentations.
It's okay if you don't have any questions right now. You can ask via email. It's okay.
Okay, I guess it's okay. Participants, I guess, also agreed with your preposition.
Can you repeat?
Probably participant agreed to ask questions later. Not.
It's okay.
Not in.
It's okay. Later, now, later, whatever.
Not during in seminar. So now, dear professor, if you finish it, if you already said what you wanted, probably we can finish our seminar. Yes. Because
yes.
Because
it's enough.
Yes. Because the time.
That's it for me.
Okay. Because time frame is expired. 1 hour, and I guess let's finish the seminar. Okay. Так, дорогие участники, если у вас нет вопросов сейчас, вы не можете задать,
Pleasure.
вы не готовы их задать сейчас, вы можете задать вопросы позже. Презентация профессора будет всем выслана, и вы можете уже задать вопросы персонально профессору, написав на e-mail и через почту, получается. Сейчас, если у участников больше нет вопросов, профессор уже закончил семинар, мы можем закончить. Okay? Okay, Mrs. Knežević.
Yes.
So I translated in Russian and English, and I guess we can now finish this seminar. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I agree that we had common problems in tourism insurance, especially in nowadays situations, and thank you for your point of view how to solve them. Thank you for information that you shared with these participants. Okay.
Okay, thank you. And if you need anything like organizer, you can send me a mail. You,
Okay.
like organizer.
Understand. Okay, I will. Goodbye to everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Есть, можете 409 проводить? Если понятно. Я телефон, знаете, телефон? Здесь можно закончить. Ты это запись сохраняешь вообще, да? Сам сохранять? Покажи, как сохранить. Нет, ну это просто отвечаешь на автоматически. Сейчас я сохраню запись. August. Айтишники уже да, как говорили, ушли, да, уже. Я этот самый, в школу, в секцию. Я закончил, уже я запись не буду, ничего, пока дальше записываю 409. Да, я жду тихо. Я приблизился. Да, я вообще ничего не нажимаю здесь.